Hello, I'm Pam Doyen. This is a budget presentation for round 3 of our budget. As many of you know, the budget failed on June 11th. That was an 8% budget to budget increase. You can see the numbers of how it failed across our 4 towns. On July 30th, we had a second round budget of 5% increase that also failed in our towns. It was a closer vote, 301 yeses to 314 noes. Before I move into the next section about explaining the budget, I'd like to take a moment to clear up some misconceptions that I've heard. I call this couch coaching. I have shared at the board meeting that I am actually a pretty good Patriots coach on Saturday afternoons or Sunday afternoons. And I often think that Bill Belichick doesn't know what he's doing, but in retrospect, I'm pretty sure he's a much better coach than I am. So sometimes we think we know things that could be easily done and they're not, is what I'm getting at. So I wanted to share a few things that I've heard in the community. One thing that I've heard is that a lot of information about specific line items that could be cut. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. One that I heard was that line 303 in our budget is contracted services for physical therapy. It has gone up at Darigo Middle School, and there's been this belief out there that we could cut $8,000. However, last year our physical therapy line was overexpended at some other schools. For example, if you look at last year's line items, you can see physical therapy at Darigo Elementary School was overexpended. So what we've done this year is we've taken our projected physical therapy costs and we've aligned them to the building that they need to be in. Again, it's not additional money, it's money that's been switched from one line to another. Here's a second example of line item proposals. There's a proposal out there that says that line 640, which is special ed training, could be cut by $15,000. And yes, in the past we have spent little money on special ed training. However, our special ed students have also made little gains or progress over time. And we have to update and prepare our teachers to do best practices with our special ed students in order to move them forward. Our new special ed director, Heidi Conley, who started last year, has looked through everything that we need to move forward with, and we feel strongly that we need this money in order to prepare our special ed teachers. Here's another misconception that's out there in the community, is that the assistant principal athletic director position is not necessary. I would tell you that that is not accurate. The time commitment needed to do an athletic director position alone is well beyond what you could do with a stipend position. For example, a stipend position is when an employee gets additional money to complete a job. With the athletic director position, it's not specifically just after school that that person is working. For example, if it happens to be a rainy day, the athletic director needs to change and reschedule events. We can't have teachers or employees coming out of their current job in order to complete the jobs necessary to the athletic director. We have to have that, and the cost of an AP/AD is similar to an AD alone, and it's better use of our funds to have an AP/AD because we'll have dual uses of that person. Here's another misconception that's out in our community, is that we're top heavy with administrators. I will tell you that in RSU 56, the administrators all have multiple roles. I'll give you a few examples. The middle school principal is also the curriculum coordinator. The elementary principal is also the person in charge of evaluation across our district. The technology director is also the affirmative action officer, and the superintendent is also the administrative assistant to the superintendent. It's really full-time jobs. They're working to capacity, and I do not believe we could run with fewer administrators. Again, before we move forward, I'll give you a quick review of some budget factors that have impacted the 2019-20 budget. So a big factor in our budget is our ED 279, that's the state funding. It's down approximately $300,000 this year. The 3 key factors for that are that the state share went down from 67% to just over 65%, resulting in an almost $200,000 loss. GT reimbursement is down almost $77,000, and the debt service is also down over $33,000. One key reason that the state subsidy goes down year after year in RSU 56 is the valuations of each of our town have gone up, so subsequently causing our state subsidy to go down. If you look at this graph, this table, you can see that Each year, the valuations of our 4 towns have gone up, and the government determines our state subsidy by doing a 3-year average or the current year's valuation, whichever is lowest. You can look at the chart and see that all 4 of our towns are lower by doing a 3-year average. In addition, if you look across pretty closely, you can see that 2018 is more than 2017, which means that next year will also probably be in a 3-year average, and it will go up once again, which will cause us to lose subsidy. Additional factors for this budget are that we would require a 6% budget to budget increase just to maintain our current programming. That's because 3% approximately is needed to cover built-in costs such as salaries, benefits, fuel, those types of things. We had positions this past year that needed to be added to the budget, such as a kindergarten teacher. We paid for that with Title I carryover funds. That's a one-time payment. We still have those kids. They've moved on to 1st grade. We need to continue to add that teacher, but we now have to put it into the budget. Similar with pre-K ed tech and social work at the middle school. In addition, we had a wireless network that was being funded through MLTI, which is the state initiative. However, they are no longer going to cover the wireless network, so that became a budget item, as well as the fact that we have increased food service costs and the cost of Region 9 went up as well. At this point, from where we started the budget, when we asked administrators to come forward with what they needed to run their district, their buildings, or their district department, we have cut over $1 million. That initial budget to budget increase was a 12% increase. That was not a wish list. We had told administrators to come with just what you need. As you know, many cuts have been made over the last few years, and the goal of the board and the administrative team is to rebuild the schools. Therefore, when they came forward with what they felt they needed, it was substantially high. We knew we weren't going to come forward with 12%, but we felt like the board and everyone needed to know that that's what the administrative team felt that was needed, not a wish list. So some of the things that have already been cut from the initial 12% budget are 1 3/4 teachers at Derigo High School, a coaching interventionist at Derigo Elementary School, a Title I ed tech at the elementary school, an alt ed tech at the high school, a teacher at Derigo Elementary School, a special ed teacher at Derigo Middle School. That was slated to be at the high school. However, we had a transfer of a special ed teacher from the middle school to the high school, so the position reduction is at the middle school. We've also cut after school music and many school supplies and programs. Now we're going to move forward to where we are with the 3rd round budget. The administrative team began to reprioritize budget needs right after the budget failed on July 30th. We used 3 key considerations when we were reprioritizing. First and foremost, what's best for our students? Secondly, how do we support our current employees? And thirdly, how do we respond to communities' concerns and desires? On August 6th, we had a special board meeting. The purpose was to review budget options and determine a direction for the 3rd round budget. The board reviewed the following budget options as well as the impacts. They looked at a 4.75 budget to budget increase, which would be a decrease of $33,097. As you can see from the list on this slide, they are mostly supplies. There are no staff members listed here. The big ticket item here is pre-K iPads. I just want to clarify because some people are worried about pre-K iPads. These are instructional tools. They are not play toys for our kids. The students use them in centers under teacher direction. And this $10,000, these are 4 new iPads, but it's not a new initiative. We already have iPads in our pre-K, and this would be to update them. To get to a 4.5 budget to budget increase, we would need to have a decrease of an additional $30,712 on top of what you just saw at the 4.75%. The large ticket items here are under the athletics. We felt like we might be able to reduce some of these because of the loss of JV teams. So we would need fewer officials, fewer registrations, and so forth. And as I explained to the board on this evening, that 72% of the school budget is driven by built-in costs, salaries, benefits, fuel. There's only about 28% of the budget that we have any control over in terms of materials and supplies. When you look at the 4.75 and the 4.5 list of reductions, that is as far as we could go with supplies and materials. Any further reductions would need to come from staff. Therefore, to get to a 4.25% budget to budget increase, we would need to decrease an additional $30,713. That would be a half a position at the middle school. This position is currently open. We're hoping that we will be able to fill it. However, it is currently open, and this reduction would result in a number of teachers at the middle school getting last minute changes in assignment, as well as a loss of some current programming, such as there'd be less health, there'd be less physical education available. There would definitely be a loss of what we could offer students at the middle school. To get to 4% budget to budget increase, we would have to lose the other half of that position at the middle school. This would require teachers being shifted from the high school, which would reduce our offerings at the high school in order to support what we would need at the middle school. To get the 3.75% budget to budget increase, we would lose a half of the position of the Derigo High School guidance secretary. This would be detrimental to kids and to the running of the guidance program. However, that is the only option that the administrative team felt they had left to move forward with. In addition, the school board looked at the impact of each of the projected budget increases on a $100,000 house in our 4 communities. You can see from this table that there's not a lot of difference between a 5% budget increase to a 4.5% budget increase. You're looking at about $10 in Canton and Carthage, and you're looking at about $20 in Dixfield and Peru. There were some items in the initially proposed budget of 8% increase that would still be in the budget that we move forward with. You can see that those programs are listed here. The administrative team felt these were important to keep in order to support the programs that we have across our district. I'm going to point out a couple of them. We really felt strongly that we needed a social worker in each of our buildings. So you can see there's a social worker at Derigo High School that's on here. The needs of our students across the district certainly would indicate that that's a necessity. You can also see that we have an Ed Tech 3 at Derigo Elementary School that we're adding. This is a special ed tech because we have students who are moving from pre-K to K that really will require additional assistance. And having an ed tech in our school would be definitely cheaper than sending our students to out-of-district placement. So the board discussed all the options and determined to move forward with the 5% budget increase again. The board felt really strongly that anything below 5% would seriously compromise the integrity of our programs. Our students deserve a quality education, and the board is charged to ensure that the decisions that they make are in the best interest of the students and the schools. Therefore, they felt strongly that they needed to move forward with 5%. They did not feel like any of the proposed cuts would be in the best interest of our schools. So on August 13th, the board did vote to move forward with a second attempt to get the 5% budget to budget increase approved. That budget is $12,901,630. On August 27th, the board will sign the warrants to move that budget forward. On September 10th, we will have a budget hearing validation meeting. This is a really important meeting for you to attend. This is where your voice can be heard. The final budget numbers are determined at this budget hearing validation meeting. Please plan to attend. On September 17th, there will be a budget validation referendum vote in all 4 towns. Your vote matters. Please plan to get out and vote. We've also been asked if we could write the article on that vote in a different format. However, we cannot. By law, we have to write it in the following format. It will have to read, do you favor approving the RSU 56 budget for the upcoming school year that was adopted at the latest RSU 56 budget meeting? Yes or no? It will be important that you have all the information that you can at that time going into it. We will provide you with another overview that will come in your mail, such as the blue overview that you saw last time. And currently the budget is, again, $12,901,630. That could change slightly at the budget validation meeting if there were votes to move it up or down. So it's really unable to provide the exact number on the warrant article that you'll be voting on, because the budget number will not be solidified until the September 10th meeting, and there wouldn't be time enough to put it out for the September 17th meeting. We will do our best to get all the information out to our 4 town offices so that they can have it posted at the budget vote night. As always, if you have any questions, concerns, or just want to know more about the budget, please feel free to contact me. I am always willing to discuss line by line if you want to, or any piece that you have concerns or questions about. You can see all of my contact information there on the screen. Thank you.